What's up, guys? Welcome to this episode of Rolloff Rundown. In this episode, we are going to be talking about the most common thing that we get asked, and it is an acronym, SEO, Search Engine Optimization. And we are here today with our resident expert, Tim, who leads our websites department. And what we're going to do is we're going to answer the most frequently asked questions about SEO to help you get a better understanding of SEO left, right, up, down, and all around. So welcome, Tim, to this episode.
Thanks for having me, Matt. Excited to be here and answer these questions for everyone.
Sounds great. Let's get started right away. So
Nice.
first question, what is SEO and how does it benefit a roll-off dumpster business?
So SEO, as you've already pointed out, stands for search engine optimization. And the way that it benefits a roll-off dumpster business is on its surface, it's very simple. Basically, you're just trying to be visible for search engines, primarily Google. I mean, that's really the one that we talk about. That's the one that we focus on. That's where like 95% of the traffic goes. So being able to show up on Google when people search for anything relevant to roll-off dumpsters is really what it does, and it's what it helps you out with.
Got it. So are there different kinds of SEO? Because we hear a lot of stuff about SEO and it just feels like a black box, but tell us about the different kinds.
There are a lot of different kinds of SEO, a lot of different types, and that's I think where it gets really confusing for people is people think that SEO is just SEO, and it's not. But the two biggest kinds, probably the most common ones, is going to be local SEO and then organic SEO. And local SEO is when you're just increasing your visibility in your local area. And then organic SEO is when you're going after very specific keywords, like roll off dumpster followed by city name, and you want to rank for that specific keyword. So you have local and organic.
Got it. And I would assume that organic is a lot harder. Is that true?
Organic is much more difficult, Tom. It's a lot more competitive. It also takes a lot more time. On average, with any organic SEO, anyone's going to tell you it's usually about 6 to 12 months to start ranking for a keyword once they've started that SEO. And it just takes a lot more work. It's a lot more involved and it's a lot more expensive. Where with your local SEO, it's a bit more accessible. It's also a bit more in your control because some of the things like reviews and stuff like that are part of your local SEO.
Got it. Okay. So with local SEO, like how could local SEO benefit a dumpster rental business?
So with local SEO, the way that it can benefit the dumpster rental business is one of the biggest pieces is going to be online reviews. That's kind of like the king right now. And it's not the only thing. There's a lot of different pieces to local SEO, but one of the biggest ones is your online reviews, which is the reviews that people leave for you primarily in Google, as far as how you did on that job. So focusing on getting online reviews is going to increase your visibility with Google. Google loves seeing it. You're engaging with their platform, but it also lets Google know, especially if you're in a more competitive area. Let's say you don't have 7 or 8 other competitors in the area, which is very common with a lot of the companies we work with. Google doesn't necessarily know how to rank you when they're looking at all of your sites. All the content's pretty similar, the keywords are similar, the product is similar. So in Google's eyes, they're just like, well, how do we figure out who should be number one, who should come up more often? One of those factors is how many reviews do you have and how good are they? And then how frequently are they left? And that's something that Google looks at. And so if you can focus on your reviews, getting regular, consistent, really good reviews, that's going to help your visibility with Google. It's going to make Google show you a lot more love, and you're going to start showing up for a lot more searches. But then the other thing too is people that are searching, they look at reviews. We love reviews. It's kind of that Amazon effect. And so when we're looking for a company to work with, we want to know what other people had to say about that company. And if you have a lot of Google reviews that are really good, not only does Google love you, but so does the consumer. So you're going to get a lot more business. You're going to show up a lot more. You're going to get a lot more business.
Sounds about right. If you're a dumpster rental business, how do you choose the right keywords to focus on for that business?
It's a great question. And that's This is a huge topic. Like keyword research is an insanely in-depth topic, but to keep it kind of high level here, I would say the best keywords to focus on are going to be dumpster rental followed by city name. Having that information in there alone in your website is going to help you out a ton, because most people, you kind of have to think like the consumer. What are people typing into Google to find your business? Well, most of them are going to type in probably the simplest option possible, which will be dumpster rental followed by city name. Now, if you go deeper into it, which you can, there's a thing called keyword research, which you generally pay experts to do, requires software and stuff like that. And it can give you a lot more insights, but on a really high level, going with the simplest option is usually the right one. And from the keyword research I've done, that's almost always the most popular search in most cities is dumpster rental followed by city name.
Which makes a lot of sense. If you're the
Yeah.
consumer that you're renting these dumpsters to, if you need a dumpster, that's probably what you're going to type in, or near me or something like that. Google
Yes.
will
Yes.
assist. But if it sees that you're in that
Yep.
area, it's probably going to assist you.
Yep.
Cool.
Absolutely.
All right. The next frequently asked question is, what are backlinks and why do they matter?
So backlinks are, this gets into a little bit more of like organic SEO. So when you're trying to rank for a specific keyword, but to kind of make the idea simpler, it goes back to Google trying to view your business and figuring out, of the 8, 9, 10 businesses in the area that do dumpster rentals, how do they figure out which one's the best? So we've already talked about how they look at reviews. That's a big one. The next thing that they look at is going to be backlinks. So a backlink is another website out there, third party website. It can be a directory. It can be like yellowpages.com. It can be a blog, someone else's blog that's all about dumpster rental and stuff like that. And if there's a link in there that directs them to your website, that's what's known as a backlink. And then what Google does is they can see all of this stuff. They have like computers and bots that just scan the web all day long. And they find all these links that are coming into your site and they take a look at it. And if it's from like a relevant site that has good authority and it's pointing back to your site, that's basically like a thumbs up, is what that's giving you. Now, the more thumbs up you get, or the more quality backlinks you get, the more relevant you look in Google's eyes. And it's like they look at this site and they're like, well, this site over here doesn't have any backlinks, so they may not be relevant. They're not very active. This site over here has 200 backlinks, and they're all from dumpster relevant websites pointing back to this site. So they're very, very relevant. That tells us that we probably want to rank them higher than these other ones. And that's what backlinks do for you. And that's kind of the really, really simple concept of organic SEO, what gets you ranked for specific keywords.
Got it. So you're saying that Google is like Fonzie, and I just dated
Yes.
myself, and like half the audience has no idea what that means, but you can Google it. See what I did there? Okay, let's just move
Yep.
on. All right. Next question is, how can I make my dumpster rental website more SEO friendly?
So there's a lot of ways to do that. What I would say, it depends on kind of the website that the platform that you're built on. One of the most common is going to be WordPress. There's also like Wix and Squarespace. So a lot of clients ask about, on-page SEO. What do I need to do? How do I make it more friendly? If you have WordPress, I'd recommend using a plugin called Rank Map. It's what we use on all of our websites. It's one of the best SEO web plugins out there. Now, it doesn't do SEO for you. What it does is it makes it a lot easier for you to do what's called on-page SEO, which is basically optimizing your website for Google to show you a bit more love. So it walks through all of those pieces. Now, if you're on Wix or something else like that, there's still a lot that you can do outside of that plugin. And one of the biggest things is always going to be content. Content is always king, no matter what platform you're on. So making sure that you have really good, unique content on your website is very important. Now, a lot of people make the mistake of putting tons of content on every single page and thinking that's the solution. You kind of have to be a little bit careful. Your homepage is generally focused on either getting a lead or getting a sale. And you really want to keep it focused on that. because that's the entire purpose of most homepages. So if it's filled with tons of content, people that are going through it, especially on a mobile phone, they're going to get bored with it and they're going to leave. So you want to keep that focused on converting very quickly. But optimizing a blog or using a blog is generally where you want to put the majority of your content. And so Google will take all that content and start ranking it. And then people will see that and they'll go to there and they'll find your homepage. So making sure that your primary website pages, your homepage, your about, your contact are pretty clean and to the point, and then utilizing a blog to add more and more content, which Google loves, is generally what I tell people to do. And the reason why it's also so beneficial is most businesses don't do it. I can say that, probably 90% of the companies that I've seen out there do not do any blog posting. And for Google, Google loves fresh quality content. That's really what they're looking for. So if you're not doing that, you're missing out on a lot of keywords and a lot of love from Google.
I think blogging is intimidating for some haulers, but things like ChatGPT make it so easy these days to just, pull it up and just say, hey, write me a blog about dumpster rental in my city, like you were talking about earlier, and give me some frequently asked questions. And boom, you've got a blog post that took all of, 10 minutes to produce and stick on your site. So that's a great, I really like that one. All right, frequently asked question number, whatever we're on. Can social media affect my business's SEO? That's a good one. I think that's one that a lot of people, I don't think they realize what's happening there.
So it absolutely can. So social media engagement is looked at as a ranking factor when it comes to SEO. Now, this doesn't mean like if you don't currently have social media and you don't do it, that doesn't mean that it's a negative thing. And you don't need to run out and start doing it if you don't do it. It's totally fine. It is something that can absolutely help. And so if you do have social media and you're posting on there, it's going to be a ranking factor because it shows that you're working on another platform and it's relevant. You're creating more content, and it goes back to just content is king. Google loves content, even if it's not on your own website. It can be on a social media platform or even on like third-party blog. They absolutely love that stuff. Now, the other thing too about social media that a lot of people aren't aware of, and it's more with like Facebook, more so than other social media platforms, but Facebook is actually what's known as a directory listing as well. Directory listing is considered a backlink. Backlink from Facebook is very, very powerful. Now, what a directory listing and it's anywhere on the web where your business information is located. So like yellowpages.com is a directory listing. Facebook is a directory listing. Better Business Bureau or anything like that, where your business information located is a directory listing. And that's something that you can also do with social media, is you can put in your business information, your website link, your phone number, etc. And you're making it easier for other people to also find you. So something that a lot of people Google looks at is the flow of traffic to your website. Where's it all coming from? Well, most of it's going to come from probably organically from Google search. But if it's also coming from social media like Facebook or Instagram or anything like that, that's huge because it shows Google you're also active on these other platforms, but it gives you, as the business owner, another platform that's bringing in more traffic. And that's really what you're trying to do, is create more sources where you can bring in more traffic. And that's why social media is really beneficial. Now, it can be very overwhelming for a lot of people. It's kind of like the blog post, like what you were saying, is it's like it can be very overwhelming to add all that stuff. And a lot of people are like, well, what do I post? What do I do? There's really no clean rule on if you post this, it'll do really, really well. You have to just test different things and make sure it's relevant to the platform you're on. With Instagram, it's primarily pictures. With Facebook, you could do pictures and content. And so it kind of loves both. So make sure it's just relevant to whatever platform you're posting to. And anything you do is going to be beneficial. There's nothing you can really do that's going to be hurting you. But if you start posting on a social media platform, try to be consistent. That consistency doesn't have to be 20 times a day. It can be once a week. It could be once every 2 weeks. As long as you're putting something out there, that's awesome. That's kind of what you want to do.
Got it. That makes sense. What about, when you were saying content is king, how often should a hauler be updating content on their website, adding new content to their website, for their dumpster rental business?
So that's something we get asked a ton, and it's a difficult question to answer in an easy way, but it's a fantastic question. And it goes back to it depends on which page they're updating it on. So with your website, one of the things you want to do with your website is make sure that you're not changing too much too often because of SEO. SEO is indexing your site, it's taking stock of what's happening, and then it's trying to figure out where to place you and where to rank you. And if you keep changing things on that site, it's going to keep trying to figure it out, and you may never get placed anywhere. So on your core pages, which is going to be, your product page, your home page, stuff like that, you really want to kind of set those up and leave those for the most part as is. And then with your blog pages, you can create and update those pretty much constantly, and you're really not going to impact the overall SEO of your site. So as long as those core pages, the home page, contact page, about us page, kind of set and forget those, and those are okay to update maybe once a month. But the longer you can kind of keep those, the better index those can get. Now, if you are updating those with more keywords and stuff like that, it's totally fine. But if you're going in and changing too much, that's kind of a bad thing. So long story short, what I tell people is on your core pages, you really want to keep those and leave those alone as much as possible, and then do as much updating as you want to on the blog. And that's another thing that actually social media is good for, is if you have constant updates that you want to push out and new things that you want to share and stuff like that, a lot of people are like, where can we put this on the website? And it's like, that's what social media is for. It's for being social. If you want to make updates about your business or something that's happening, or a new thing that's coming out, or new product that you're offering, that's what social media is for, is updating that type of stuff without impacting the SEO that's occurring on your website.
Got it. Okay. So how about, we all get ourselves in hot water at times if we're doing stuff dangerously, but what are some common mistakes that people should avoid when dealing with SEO and their website?
So common mistakes are, a lot of the information that's out there right now is information from like 15 years ago. And the fact that it's still running around today is like, this is good to do, kind of blows my mind. And one of them is people still believe that having a certain percentage of keywords on a page is going to help you rank for that keyword, or putting more of that specific keyword on the page is going to help you rank for that keyword. And it's actually what's known as keyword stuffing. If you have too many keywords on the page, Google doesn't like it, and they know that it's not natural. And then there's the, I need a certain percentage of my page to have this keyword on it. You don't. That was relevant, 10, 15 years ago when Google used to do that. It used to be like 1.5% of the text on your page should be a specific keyword, and that's usually what they liked. But Google's algorithm is really good now. They know what you're doing. They know what you're looking for, and they know what you should rank for, and they understand your business. So you really don't need to worry about any of those things. What you want to just focus on is really good, just natural content that people are just going to engage with. That's what you want to focus on. Google understands it. They know what keywords you want to rank for, and that's what they're going to take care of for you. You don't need to stuff a bunch of keywords in there. You don't need to worry too much about even like interlinking. I see a lot of clients that do a lot of linking to a lot of different things within a single web page. And because it used to be like the more links you had going to your internal pages, the better it was, and Google loved it. And that's not necessarily the case anymore. Now, you still want to make sure you have some links. You don't ever want people to reach what's known as like a dead end. So a dead end is when you reach a web page and there's nowhere else you can go without hitting the back button. But because the way that headers and footers are built now, that really doesn't exist. Like, you won't ever reach a dead end. You'll always have somewhere to go. So I would just be very cautious of any advice that's given to you as far as what you should be doing on a web page, because keep in mind that Google doesn't tell anyone what should be done and not done on a web page. Everyone is basically doing the best guess. And in my experience, if you're setting up your site to be a best experience for the user, you're doing everything right. That's what you want to focus on, is the user experience. Don't worry about keywords and links and all that stuff. Just give the user a really good experience on your site. Google's going to recognize that, and you're probably going to keep climbing up the rankings.
Got it. Yeah, keyword stuffing sounds like something you eat at Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
Hashtag dad joke king. But let's just move on to the next question. So next frequently asked question is, how do I measure the success of the SEO efforts if you're a hauler?
So there's a lot of tools out there that you can use. I mean, the biggest one being Google Analytics. It's free, it's easy to use. You sign up for it and it'll basically show you how many are coming through. But a lot of people, like Google Analytics, like you and I both know, it can be complicated. I mean, that is a massive tool that can be kind of a little bit overwhelming in trying to figure out like what's actually going on. But an easier way is simply looking at leads that are coming through and phone calls that are coming through. You can easily track that on a spreadsheet if you wanted to, and just month to month be able to look at, last month we got this many leads, this month this many leads. And yes, Google Analytics will show you all of that stuff, but it can be a little bit difficult to set it up. So if you're not familiar with it, if that's not your area of expertise, I wouldn't even dive into it, because it can be very, very confusing and honestly kind of frustrating, even for me. I do it day in and day out. I understand it probably more than most, and I still get kind of frustrated when I'm setting some of that stuff up sometimes. So Google Analytics will give you some very, very basic information if you're okay using that. Otherwise, it's very simple. Look at the leads that are coming in and the phone calls that are coming in and track that. A lot of people that I ask, they're like, how do I know if it's working? And I ask them, like, well, how many leads did you get last month? I don't know. Well, how many phone calls did you get last month? I don't know. Tracking just those two specific data points will give you so much information on how your business is doing. You don't need to do it in a super fancy way. It doesn't have to be this huge automated Google Analytics machine. It can be as simple as a spreadsheet or even a piece of paper that you're using just to track it.
Yeah, I think, a method too that we've used in the past is, you answer the phone, it's like, how'd you hear about us? A lot of people
Yeah.
just say, I Googled you.
Yep.
And then you're ranking for that. I mean, that's one of the most common things you hear actually is like, oh, I did a web search and you came up.
That is huge. And a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people just answer the phone and get right into, trying to sell, and do a little bit of your own kind of market research and simply ask, like what you were saying is like, how'd you hear about us? That'll give you so much information. And it's, to kind of tie it back to reviews, a lot of people are like, well, how do you get more reviews? It's like, well, you ask them.
Yeah.
Right when you're done for the job, like, did you like our service? Would you mind leaving us a review? So asking will get you so far. Like, it's a wonderful thing to do. You should definitely be doing that.
Awesome. I think that's a good place to land this plane. And, I just want to thank you, Tim, for answering the most frequently asked questions about SEO in the dumpster rental industry. And for our audience, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you in the next one.